It's a unique game in that way. All their big hitters seem to be, struggling at the plate right now. And it's weird how a whole team can just go cold like that offensively. I mean, granted, the teams they played lately, Houston and Milwaukee, have really good pitching staffs and some really good arms. But it's frustrating time to be a Dodger fan in many ways. But on the other hand, they're getting healthier on the pitching side, so they've had some good pitching performances this week. So that's encouraging for them.
Talk about the pitching performances that have stuck out to you and some of the concerns you have on the pitching side and those kinds of things.
Well, Dustin May obviously had his best start of the year. He looked really, really good. He seemed to be kind of attacking hitters more and really executing his pitches better. So hopefully that'll carry forward for him because that was they need that out of him, obviously. Dustin May. Glasnow pitched great yesterday in his return. So that was.
Did you expect that? Did you see that? I had told people, hey, I didn't know how the results were going to go, but he was throwing strikes in Oklahoma City. All the pitch metrics had been better actually in Oklahoma City in his rehab than they were before he got hurt. So I had the question asked a million times, was he ready? I said, absolutely he was. He had nothing left to do in Oklahoma City. So I wasn't surprised. I was surprised he made it as long as he did, but what were your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I have to say I was surprised he pitched as well as he did. He obviously has that in him, and he probably, just didn't have the adrenaline going when you're in the minor leagues as much. So when you come up on the big stage, then, you really get that adrenaline going more, and that helps a lot. So
they call that the bump. You get a bump.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, that was exciting to see for sure. Kershaw obviously pitched very well in his last start, and the one before he didn't, but this last one he did. And Ohtani continues to look very impressive. So, they're going to keep extending him out, obviously, and taking it very slow with him. Those were all positive performances. We had a few that weren't as positive, obviously with Kasparius and Yamamoto. Starts not looking nearly as good, but hopefully they're just it's a little bump in the road for them.
You know that Blake Snell's getting ready to throw a rehab at Rancho, which means that you have the ability to go cover that if you want to. I just thought I'd throw that out there if you have time. But super excited about Blake Treinen coming back. Not Blake Treinen. I'm sorry, Blake Snell. I'm going to get those two. Blake Treinen's back too in Oklahoma City.
Right.
He was there last night. But Blake Snell is going to rehab and Rancho here before too long.
Ooh, I'll have to try to figure out when that's going to be and try to make it over there for sure.
So what are you excited about with some of the returners, Blake Snell, obviously Glasnow, Blake Treinen? How big of a deal is that for you?
I mean, that's huge. They've it's kind of almost surprising to me that the Dodgers have, gotten the lead that they have in the division with so many injuries to their pitching staff. But it's
actually today. I'm sorry to break in, but today Blake Snell is going to be in Rancho tonight.
Oh, he is. So. Wow.
Yeah, if you have time tonight, you can run out there.
Well, I'm actually going to be at the park tonight playing softball on a side field. So I'll have to try to get in there. Yeah. That's cool. Good to hear. But it's huge for them getting those guys back. They've had some of their better starters and relievers out. So it's a testament to their depth that they've been able to, maintain the lead that they have in the division, or build the lead and maintain it.
So the pitching is definitely a positive. I mean, you mentioned just Clayton Kershaw, the way that he's able to sit 90 and just work both sides of the corner, set hitters up. I mean, it's for guys like us of our age, going back to that's kind of how guys always pitched when we grew up. So it's kind of special to see a guy reinvent himself and just get guys out in what nowadays is an untraditional manner, which is their speed, location, setting hitters up, and being crafty. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, exactly. You just used the word that I was thinking of. Yeah, Kershaw's turned into the crafty lefty,
like Quintana was yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And some of these guys, some of these lefties seem to go on forever. You look at guys like Rich Hill and those kind of players. They really learn how to pitch. The young guys, a lot of times, they'll just come up and just throw hard, and try to throw everything, their slider, their fastball, like max effort, all that. And it's probably what's leading to a lot of arm injuries. But guys like Kershaw evolve and they learn how to really pitch and set hitters up and hit their spots and all that.
Who's the closer right now, man? Tanner Scott has not been as advertised at all. He got off to kind of a slow start, rebounded. You're like, okay, well, Tanner Scott is Tanner Scott. Now, here we go again. So it's been this right here, which is the last thing you want with a closer type situation. Kirby Yates hasn't been good. Blake Treinen, you never know how healthy he's going to stay. You would trust him with his last 3 outs. Who the hell is a closer right now for the Dodgers? That's a big problem.
It is. Obviously, they've been inconsistent in Tanner Scott's defense a little bit. They didn't really seem to hit the ball hard yesterday against him. The last hit was a broken bat single, obviously. So it's not like they were hammering the ball against him. But he still he gave up 3 hits. So they're putting the bat on the ball. When you put the bat on the ball, things can happen. That's
but they looked comfortable against him. I mean, those were good swings. They didn't necessarily hit the crap out of them.
Yeah.
But I mean, the swing by Vaughn and the 2 swings before that, they were anything but uncomfortable. I mean, those were legitimate good swings at the ball. Didn't totally hit the barrel, but I would push back a little bit and say, hey, they attacked Tanner Scott and they looked very comfortable against him. That's concerning to me.
Yeah, that's true, and that's obviously been an issue with him this year. So I don't know exactly what the problem is, but he's I would say he's still their closer, but it's tenuous right now. And they get unfortunately Kopech is hurt again too, so he's not an option in the near future. But hopefully Treinen will come back strong and maybe he'll end up being their closer.
Yeah, Kopech was terrible in Oklahoma City for the most part. He had a couple nice little outings, and then he was terrible for Los Angeles. He got out of that one just luckily. I mean, he walked like 2 or 3 guys, was all over the place, got out of, I think it was his first outing back, kind of got out of it a little bit, and then had some good outings. Like, okay, well Kopech has figured it, and then he gets hurt again. I mean, that's just a really rough situation. So the bullpen has been good all year, no doubt. I mean, it's been a situation to where the Dodgers have had to really just kind of piece it together. But I am kind of worried about who gets the last 3 outs, because we know as well as being around the game as much as we have, the last 3 outs can be what we saw yesterday, the toughest 3 outs to get in baseball.
Right. Yeah. Well, fortunately, it's mid-season and they have some time to figure it out, I guess. And hopefully, but down the stretch they'll have it figured out and have somebody in there who's much more consistent than they have been. I mean, I did see a stat. I mean, they were talking about it during the last game.
So who would you want it to be if you had your druthers? Let's say everybody gets healthy. Who is it going to be?
Out of all the guys, I think Treinen, if he was completely healthy and able to pitch, I feel I have more confidence in him than anybody.
He's in your trust tree, the top of your trust tree, isn't he?
Yeah, and he showed in the World Series last year. Obviously, he shows that he's a money player. So, you just have to wonder if he's going to be healthy enough. So we'll see.
We have a question: can Ohtani become the closer to remove the bullpen? Anything can happen, but here's your issue with that. Is that where's he going to warm up? How's he going to warm up? If he hit the last inning, he's not going to be able to go to the bullpen. If he has to hit the next inning, how is he going to go to the bullpen? So you have those logistical issues, which are extremely difficult. Like in college, Jordy Mercer, the young man who played shortstop for several years for the Pittsburgh Pirates. He's from a small town, Oklahoma, went to OSU, Oklahoma State, got to coach him and got to know him a little bit. So he was also the closer for OSU. You see this in college quite a bit. They did this with Chris Campos, who's in the Dodger system right now. And so when Frank Anderson is now currently the pitching coach at Tennessee. He was the head coach at OSU at that time. When he would come out and talk to a pitcher, he would throw a ball to Jordy Mercer, and Jordy Mercer actually would warm up by playing catch with the third baseman at OSU. So you had that. But Ohtani doesn't even play the field. So he's not even going to have a play. Maybe he can come out in front of the dugout and play catch. I don't know how he would warm up. So there's logistical issue number 1. Right. And the logistical issue number 2 is if he comes in relief and then comes out, then you have at that point, you've lost your DH. And so like Ohtani either has to go into the game and play defense, or Ohtani is no longer in the game. So yes, can Ohtani be a reliever? It would be a lot easier if he was getting the last 3 outs, because you're not having to deal with the losing your DH situation. But I don't know how you figure out the logistics of how he warms up. So, yes, it's theoretically possible, but it would be very difficult to do. It'd be better off if somebody else did it, and Ohtani just ramped up to be a starter.
I agree, and I mean, he could be a lights out closer. If they could use him that way, I'm sure he could be one of the best closers in baseball. But I mean, all the factors that you mentioned, plus the fact that I just don't want to take a chance on him getting injured again. And I think
do you want him out there more often, or do you want him out there only every 5 or 6 days? That's another issue you have,
Yeah, and I think that's kind of opening the door to possible injury for him. And I just don't. I think it's just harder on his arm, like you said, trying to warm up quickly and all that. That's the last thing. That's the last thing I want to see. I was almost on the fence about him even pitching. Losing
I was too. As weird as that sounds, I'm not anymore, but I was. Yeah.
Yeah. But I just don't. I'd be concerned about him being a closer.
Yeah, we have a question. Yeah, Jose Ramos got pulled up to AAA Oklahoma City. I thought of Showtime very first of all when I heard this, because I was like, oh snap, here we go, Jose Ramos to AAA Oklahoma City, which means there's an outfield spot in AA Tulsa, which means, Mark, I see that smile, which means Josue Paula, Zaire Hope. Who's it going to be coming up to AA Tulsa?
All right,
bad
Mike
news,
Sirota
Showtime. I don't have any information on who they're going to bring up. I don't ask about that kind of stuff.
Right.
Sometimes they'll shoot me and tell me who's coming up, but I actually don't. But I thought of Showtime as first I heard that, and as soon as we hear if it happens, we'll definitely be right on top of that. But that's a great point, Showtime, by Jose Ramos coming up to AAA. By the way, Jose got his first hit last night in AAA. That means now there is the ability to maybe pull up a Josue Paula or a Zaire Hope. Exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mike Sirota could be another option. I mean, it'd be a little soon for him maybe, because he just got up to high A, but he's been tearing it up too. So yeah, they have a lot of good young outfielders on that level. So
we have two opposites here. You wanted Kasperius to come out a little bit sooner yesterday, which I disagree with, which is great. That's the wonderful part of baseball, is that you have a million different. That's the fun part of it. I personally love the fact of when he took Kasperius out, that brought left on left for Tanner Scott. It shrunk the window for him to have to, a 4-pitch save is very difficult because you have that up and down. 5 or 6 out, not pitch, but out save is even more difficult. So I personally thought Dave Roberts handled it exactly perfectly. Chuck Huddleston's on the opposite side. He was shocked that Tanner Scott came in at all. He wanted Ben Kasperius to stay in the whole entire time. So talk about that situation.
Yeah, I guess I've been a little leery just because of the way Kasperius has pitched lately. He's been struggling. So when he came out in the 7th, I was like, okay, hopefully he can get him through one inning, build his confidence back a little bit, and so he did get through the first inning without giving up a run, and then he brought him out again for the second inning. It's like, oh man, I wish he kind of makes me nervous, And
he did good though.
He did end up giving up a run, but didn't he? I believe he did, right? So
I don't think he did.
I thought he did in his second inning.
They did not give up a run in the 8th inning yesterday.
Huh, okay.
I can effort that and look at it. But yeah, as you look up, I don't think he did. We'll continue to talk about that as we have a live stream going here. Hey, and another guy to look out for as we're talking about relief pitching, Ronin Cop just made his way up to AAA Oklahoma City. I got live video of Edgardo Henriquez the other day. Alexis Diaz just got option back down. Julian Fernandez got DFA'd. We'll see if he stays in the system. They do that all the time. They DFA guys and they get them back. We've seen that. We saw that last year with Nabil Creasmod. We'll see if that happened with CJ Alexander. So it happens quite a bit. We'll see if we get Julian Fernandez back. He had been pitching lights out with Oklahoma City. Super excited about Ronin Cop, though. Actually, let me put some video up on the board of Ronin here, and we can start just diving into him because he had just an absolutely awesome he struggled a little bit last year and the year before, and he has just found himself, and he is throwing better than he ever has. And so I'm going to get this video up on the board, and as I do, go ahead and talk about Ronin Cop and how exciting he is.
He is exciting, and I did a little deep dive on him actually when you mentioned this morning that you want to talk about him a little bit more. But yeah, he's a big 6'7" lefty. He's still only 22 years old. He was drafted in 2021, so he's been steadily moving up This year in Tulsa, he had a 2.53 ERA in 32 innings with 50 strikeouts. So he's averaging well over a strikeout per inning. As when they were drafted him, he was the Arizona Gatorade Player of the Year as a high school junior.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yeah. And then he regressed a little bit as a senior, which is why the Dodgers were able to draft him. He can be overpowering with his fastball and slider. They're both graded as plus when he's on. He has struggled with his control. Yeah, he's struggled with his control a little bit, but his control has gradually been improving. So, he has, as I mentioned, overpowering stuff, and I could see him being an option for the Dodgers in the future. Not too distant future.
I think you're right, because this is the guy that started in Double-A. Like, okay, well, let's see if Ronin can get this thing figured out. And then the year was like, okay, yeah, and then like for the last month or two, it's been like, oh my God, this is the Ronin Cop we've been waiting on forever, to the point to where we have seen these guys once they get hot in Double-A, Mark. It's not that long till they're in Oklahoma City. And Absolutely. If he keeps pitching, or not Oklahoma City, but in L.A., and if he keeps pitching like this, it is not out of the question that he makes it to Los Angeles this year. That's how good he has been.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the best prospects don't even go to AAA. They go straight from AA up to the big leagues. So especially for pitchers, it's not as big of a jump, I think. I could see that happening. He could be a valuable piece for them down the stretch with the way he pitches. So, and I've been noticing they have a lot of really good quality lefties in the organization. With two of their top lefties are, Jackson Ferris and Maddox Bruns, who have both kind of struggled with injuries and been down a little bit this year. But they have a lot of good lefties, and Cop's another one of them. So.
He absolutely is. We'll get into Jackson Ferris and his start on our wonderful Down on the Farm segment that you have set up for us today. I am so excited about that. I am so excited that, hey, we have started going live. Of course, yesterday it was an early game, and we have our Wednesday night show with Austin Brubaker, and so we went live Wednesday night. But I'm going to try to do a live now. So Austin's going to have Monday night live shows. That's his show. So Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, I'm going to try to go live at 9 o'clock Pacific, see how many people we can get in here. So far, it has been awesome. Last night's show is incredible in terms of the interaction. So the more live shows we can get out there, the more we can talk about to you guys, to you wonderful Dodgers dogs out there. Hopefully we can build a live crowd on a daily basis in a time window that we're not competing with every other YouTube outlet out there, because the Dodgers have so many great YouTube outlets. All Dodgers with Clint. And then also he does the Dodgers Territory with Alana. That's a fantastic show. Then he has his own, Kevin and Jeff Snyder, I know, has come over. That's a great show. And then you have Locked on Dodgers. You've got Dodger Blue, all wonderful shows, all those shows. Then you obviously have Tim with Blue Madness and all those. So there's so many great shows out there, trying to find a window and a niche that we're not competing with all of them. Right. And so hopefully this is it. And so far it has been, and I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, I'm excited too. Hopefully we can touch on some topics that, aren't things that everybody else is talking about.
Sure.
So, and that's kind of, I think we cover the minors a little more than some of those do. And as you mentioned on our last podcast, we're going to talk more about the Arizona Complex League and Dominican Summer League also. So.
We absolutely are. We have a question about, I know you started diving into these guys. I'm just going to throw you out there on the deep end. Bob Tan has a question. If we don't, I don't know anything about him. When I don't, I'm not afraid to say I don't know anything about him. But did you see Joseph Dang's debut?
I didn't see his debut, unfortunately, but he's as I saw that Bob Tan had mentioned that he's like a skyscraper. He's a huge guy, and he throws hard too. He's in the upper 90s. So I didn't, when they first signed him, I didn't know he was one of the first signings out of what country was he from? I can't remember, but he was the first signing out of that particular country. It was one of that countries in Africa, but. So I didn't really know how legitimate he was, but he apparently, he throws really hard. He throws in the upper 90s, and a guy that's 6'7" coming at you in the high 90s, that's could be a recipe for success.
Just 17 years old. He is 6'6", 6'7", out of Sudan.
Sudan. Okay.
Yeah. So I have not seen any video. Mark is starting to dive very much so into the Arizona Complex League. Hopefully, you're welcome to use Dodgers Daily. You can use your own Twitter, your own Facebook. If we start posting about these guys and tagging them, then we start having access maybe to some video and that kind of thing. So maybe we'll have video of these guys too and get after that. So Mark's he's diving into the complex, something I have not done. I am super excited about that. We're going to talk all about the Complex League today in our Down the Farm. So we're going to get there as we roll on and continue to talk about our Dodgers talk. So what else? The offense has struggled, Mark. We've talked about the pitching. The bullpen worries me at this point, but the pitching overall has been held together by duct tape and done a good job for the most part. The offense, though, man, the offense right now stinks.
Yeah, it's as I mentioned earlier, it's so weird to me. And baseball's such a unique game in that way, where everybody just gets cold at one time, and it's not like another sport where you just like play harder. You can't really do that in baseball because it's so mental, like sometimes you start trying to play harder and you start. It's
a soft focus.
Yeah. You start pressing, if you start trying to play hard, it's like you got to just got to be kind of loose in a way. It's not like football or basketball or something where you just like, turn on the jets or whatever and start playing harder. So, but yeah, it's frustrating as a Dodger fan, but almost every even the best teams go through stretches like this. So I'm not extremely worried about it. These guys know how to hit. I was thinking about it yesterday too. They are aging a little bit. Yeah. And somebody mentioned that about Freddie Freeman in particular. The Dodgers, a lot of their key players are getting up into their, mid 30s almost. So that's a little bit of a concern, but I don't think it's that big of a concern yet.
Yeah. Going back to the Ben Kasparius talk, I wanted to make sure we got that accurate. Ben Kasparius did not give up a run yesterday because Tanner Scott came in and got his one out and cleaned things up for Ben Kasparius. So that eighth inning, actually, let me back up. And I've watched so many games that sometimes I have to go back and refresh myself in terms of the actual situation. So I wanted to say this just so we can get back into this conversation and kind of talk about this. So Ben Kasparius starting the eighth inning, okay, the bottom of the eighth inning, he hit Sal Frelick. William Contreras flew out to right field. Then he struck out Jackson Chourio. So he hit the first guy, struck out Chourio. William Contreras flew out. So he left with 2 outs and one runner on base when Tanner Scott came in. Tanner Scott came in to face the lefty and Christian Yelich, obviously.
Okay.
So obviously it was a no-brainer to bring in Tanner Scott then. But knowing now how that went back down, playing that back, does that change? Hey, this is a great conversation. Does that change your mind at all about Kasparius?
Yeah, I mean,
make you feel better, I should say.
It worked out, So as I said, I was a little leery about him coming in for a second inning. I just wanted to. Personally, I would have liked to just see him get like one good inning under his belt, and then get out of there. Yeah. I was thinking that Roberts.
You're thinking managerial, like give him confidence, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I thought Roberts might bring in Yates in the eighth inning and then go with Scott in the ninth. And you mentioned earlier the four out save. I've never been a fan of 4-out saves because it seems like there's more of a failure rate when guys
do the up and down.
Yeah.
When you go out there in a charged up environment in the bottom of the eighth and you come off the field going, and then you got to sit down and you got to get some Gatorade and chill back down. Then you got to get back in I mean, that's from an emotion. That's an emotional roller coaster there, even for veterans like Tanner Scott.
Yeah, and I always remember Kenley Jansen when he did multiple inning saves. A lot of times when he had to do a multiple inning save, he was not as effective in the ninth. So I think it takes a toll on guys. They're not used to doing the up and down as much.
Yeah, the offense dived back in. It has not been good. Esteury Ruiz, it was good to see him get a hit. James Outman, he got a hit his first time back. Has not looked good in any of his other 7 or 8 at bats since. So some of the young guys coming up, talk about them, but dive back into the offense and just some of the concerns you have at this point.
Yeah, I mean, Freddie has looked lost up there, of course, lately. It looked like he was coming out of it, and then he kind of went back into his slump. But obviously, he's not doing very well. Ohtani, he's hitting some home runs here and there, but he's just not himself. Obviously, Mookie has not really been himself all year. He started off the year really bad by losing all that, getting sick and having to lose all that weight and everything, and that could have affected
no thump. There's no thump to it. Like, he hit the sac fly to center field the other day and the sac fly to left field.
Yeah,
and those are two hits that, just watching Mookie for so long, those are two hits that normally are home runs. And I know they ended up in sac flies, but they were almost more concerning to me than some of the outs he's made, because it was like, he did hit those balls well and they still didn't leave the park. I mean, it's those types of things, the process parts are concerning to me.
And I thought the exact same thing on that ball that he hit, that sac fly. When he hit it, I was like, oh, I think that's out. And then, it was not even, I don't think it was even to the warning track. So,
it was like, wow.
Yeah. I read an article about him earlier in the year, how he doesn't have elite bat speed. And that's an issue for him. So he really has to barrel it up right and get the right swing on it in order to hit it out with the bat speed that he has. He's not Shohei Ohtani, obviously. He's a smaller guy. So maybe, him losing this weight, and he's just not quite as strong as he has been in past seasons. So that could be affecting him still.
Mm-hmm. Esteury Ruiz got a hit. James Outman, like we said, he's still on the struggle bus. So reinforcements, where are they? I mean, I think this offense, I think it's naive to say, I do think everything's going to be okay. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to freak out from that perspective. The Dodgers are going to be fine. They're going to recover. They're going to figure out what's going on. And as Dave says, this thing's going to flip. I'm not saying any of that. But I do think there are some things. I think it'd be naive to say, hey, we're fine. We don't need to change anything. Everything's fine. We just need to keep putting Miguel Rojas at third base and Michael Conforto in left field, and all will be well. I think it'd be naive to have that aspect. So as far as the offense goes, I mean, what needs to happen here? Just stay pat, or what do we do?
At this point, there are no easy answers there. I do think, that they're just going through a bad phase right now, and they'll come out of it. As far as Conforto goes, he's looked a little bit like he may be coming out of it at times, but then, I don't know. It's tough to say with him. If he continues to be inconsistent and struggle, then, you could see him getting less playing time, but it could be a thing that they address, in a trade, because they at this point, it looks like they could maybe use a good hitting outfielder.
Yeah. We have a question here. We have a statement here from Chuck Huddleston. Outman needs to capitalize on his opportunity. He may not get many more after this with the Dodgers. I would say he's going to get 0 more with the Dodgers. And the problem with James Outman is this is his last year to have minor league options. So after this year, you have to keep him on your 26-man roster or DFA him. So if he's not going to have a role with the Major League club, which I addressed this in the last show, what would have to happen with James Outman is that he would have to get hot right off the bat, like he did in spring training of 2023. He'd have to stay hot for about a month to get back in the trust tree before he went cold. And just the odds of that happening are just so minutely low. So at this point, right in front of the trade deadline, I think what the Dodgers are doing is they're bringing up James Outman, hoping that he can get hot for about a week or two, and then cap like they did with Gavin Lux. Of course, Gavin Lux was in the offseason. But if they can get James Outman to look competent at home plate right now, look comfortable and this is why Dodgers fans need to root for James Outman. Even if you're tired of watching him strike out, even if you're tired of watching him look like he's lost at the plate or that he's overmatched. I understand that, but this is also why you need to root for him, because if he can just have a week or two where he looks like he did in 2023, then the Dodgers right in front of the trade deadline can turn him around at top peak or at the highest peak value he can get, and maybe get some kind of piece for the bottom of your minor league system, or maybe even a minute piece that's like an Esteury Ruiz for him that might help your major league club in some sense of the fashion. So I think that's where we're at with James Outman.
I agree completely. I mean, I hope that he can turn it around mainly for that reason at this point, because he just hasn't been able. I mean, baseball, they always talk about it's a game of adjustments, and he hasn't been able to make the necessary adjustments. Obviously, he came out and started with a bang, and then they found his. Pitchers will find your weak spots, and they're able to do that. And he wasn't able to adjust, went down to the minor leagues, and hasn't been able to make the necessary adjustments to be a solid major league contributor. So yeah, hopefully he can get on a little roll here, and as you said, they can get something out of him or include him in a package or something like that.
Yeah, that's of course the first option would be he gets hot like he was in 2023 and stays that way. For the rest of the year, that's such a long shot at this point, just the way he looks, and it's been such a long time since then. So at least let's kind of lower that bar and just look competent, look like a league average offensive player. Somebody somewhere else will want that, and hopefully the Dodgers might be able to get something good out of that before he runs out of options next year. So more topics moving on. You have the Giants coming up. Giants are 5 games back. This first game with the Giants, you got Dustin May, Logan Webb. This is going to be the Giants are good at home. Well, they're not great at home. The Dodgers are. I would say the Giants are good at home. The Dodgers are good on the road for compared to how teams usually do on the road. Mm-hmm. This is going to be a wild and crazy series, man. I mean, you're going to get the good Giants pitching.
Yeah, for sure. Logan Webb is always tough. So. That game, it's going to be a tough one. I'm sure that he always pitches well against them, and he's obviously one of the better pitchers in the league. So hopefully Dustin May can pitch like he did his last outing and carry that into this one, because they're going to need him to. I think. I'm guessing they're not going to get a lot of runs off of Logan Webb.
Yeah, I think the thing that concerns me the most is the strength of the Giants. What we're talking about, Logan Webb, is definitely their pitching. And right now, what the Dodgers aren't doing is hitting. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if things continue the way they are, of course, baseball can flip on a dime. I mean, I know that Orr Hershiser was talking the other day about how hitters can literally be in the on-deck circle. I think it may have been Eric Karros. And they might, take one practice swing and go, oh, that's it. I just felt it. And all of a sudden, they're back. So baseball can flip on a dime. Yeah. But if things continue, this is a bad matchup because the Dodgers can't hit right now. And the Giants what they do is pitch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that sounds
absolutely
tough.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely makes me uneasy going into this series, but hopefully I'm just hoping to get at least win one game out of this series, and so I think they need the way they've been going. I mean, to win one game, it would be wouldn't be the worst thing in the world the way they've been playing. I feel like so. But I mean, I think the Dodgers really need the break. I think they're a little gassed right now. I got some guys who have some nagging injuries, like Teo. He's not 100%. I know, and some of the other guys, I'm sure, have some aches and pains. And it's almost we talked about like Mookie. It's better for him to get the break and not have to go to the All-Star game. But yeah, some of these guys can definitely use the break, I think.
Yeah, we have a question. What are the splits for Outman? He's 0 for 6 against lefties, and he's 4 for 26 against righties, which is in the low 100s. So none of it's been good for him. Yeah. So that kind of goes back to what we were talking about before. Just get him to look like he can be close to league average offensively, and hopefully maybe somebody might want to pick up on that. But this is going to
for his sake, the best thing might be for him to go to another team and get a fresh start. Just like, I mean, Bellinger was kind of a similar thing. He went to the Cubs and he pulled out of his funk, and got back on track. So maybe that'd be the best thing for Outman at this point.
I think Mr. Classic has a good point here. The trajectory of Mookie's balls, it seems like they're either coming out like the ground balls that you don't want, like the ones that 3-hop through the infield, or they're coming out too high like fly balls. Mm-hmm. What you want are line drives that have backspin that carry out of the so if you're Mookie Betts and you don't have elite bat speed, the way that a guy like that hits home runs is that he hits line drives, and then the line drive has backspin, and the line drives maximizes his exit velos because it's hit the most squarely as possible. So this is a good point by Mr. Classic. When you're hitting fly balls and ground balls, that when the trajectory is not right, then you're not maximizing the speed at which the ball is traveling at. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of this, yes, the bat speed, this and that, but a lot of it is he's just not squaring the ball up.
That's true. Yeah. And obviously they focus on launch angle a lot, and he's been flying out, a lot of balls flying out to the warning track or what have you. And so that is a good point. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Ryan R has a funny comment here. Total runs in this upcoming series under 10, and that's total for the two teams. I hope he's being funny there, because that's actually probably somewhat possible the way things are going right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, just going through one of those stretches that are super frustrating as a Dodger fan.
Yeah. Showtime's hoping Josue de Paula makes it to Tulsa. He's been in high A for a full year now. Cole says, I always want to know how much cash they get. Joe Davis mentioned they got $1 for a player to trade to Seattle. Yeah. Yeah. So what are your thoughts of Dave Roberts? He's going to, if he wins another World Series, he's definitely a Hall of Fame manager. I think right now, if you compared his record postseason, his overall win record, his win-loss record in the postseason, the amount of winning he's done in the postseason, the amount of World Series he's won, right now he qualifies to be a major Hall of Fame manager if you compare him to some of the other managers that are in the Hall of Fame. What are your thoughts on him and some of the moves he makes?
I would say so. I think Roberts is a really good manager. I think he gets blasted for a lot of things that he shouldn't. I mean, I don't always agree with his strategic decisions. We talked about Kasperius earlier, but more often than not, he pulls the right strings, and I feel like he's doing that more actually as time goes on. But I think his biggest strength is his ability to relate to the players, because they always have good things to say about him, and he keeps them on a good positive level, I think. So I think that's really his biggest strength. And I see fans, going back to when the Dodgers, before they won, their first World Series with him, fans especially would be saying, "Oh, it's so easy. All he has to do is throw the balls out there. They have so much talent." And obviously, we know that's not the case, because you have teams in the past that have spent a lot of money and brought in huge amounts of talent, and it just implodes on them. The Yankees were one of those teams that went through that, and some of the other teams too. So managing is not as easy as some people seem to think it is. And he's definitely strong, as I said, in relating to players and keeping them on a good positive keel, I guess you could say.
Yeah, that's the bullpen been used too much? I know Cole is mentioning that. And Chuck has mentioned this. Concerns about the bullpen being used too much. That might go back to, just some of the fatigue, and not just fatigue too. It's also exposure. So we know the more other teams see a certain pitcher, the more they get a beat on them. So the more you have to use your bullpen arms, the more all these hitters get more video. They get to see them live more. And so it's not just the fatigue. It's also the exposure of hitters getting to see them more.
Exactly. Yeah. A lot of teams, I think at Tampa Bay, especially, you remember Cash pulling Glasnow in the World Series, but they don't like to have guys get a third at bat against a pitcher, so that's the way a lot of teams have started to go with all the analytics and everything. They realize that third time through the lineup, is usually bad for a starting pitcher. So, but the Dodgers, they really haven't had much of a choice this year with the way some of the starters have pitched. They have to pull them, and so they've had to go to the bullpen much more than they wanted to. And it's actually been, I think the bullpen's been taxed less the last month or so. Yeah. So they've definitely gotten more rest, like Yates and Scott in particular. So. But they have some guys coming back that's going to help too, obviously.
Yeah, Blake Snell got pulled prematurely for all those types of things too. So one way that they've gotten around that third time through, because hey, stats don't lie in that situation. Third time through. Now there are times where you can use your gut and say, you know what, to hell with it. This guy's throwing so good. These guys aren't going to hit him. I'm going to throw him out there and forget about it. But if you do it as an overall trend or an idea or concept, you're going to get burned pitching your starters the third time through, for the most part. The stats don't lie about that. I firmly believe that. So, what the Dodgers actually started this trend, or I don't know if it actually was the Dodgers, but I know they've done it in the minor leagues forever. They did it with Blake Treinen last night. The way that they've gotten around that third time through mark is that they've started having openers And so they have the reliever, like Blake Treinen, throw the first inning in the game instead of throwing his one inning at the back of the game, or like an Anthony Bonda.
Yeah.
And so what that does is it allows that pitcher, that reliever, to face the top three hitters in the lineup. Like for the Dodgers, it would be obviously Shohei, Mookie, and Freddie. And so that starting pitcher can go the third time through the lineup with only having to face the top 3 or 4 hitters twice.
True.
So that's why I love that opener concept. And plus, it's only one inning, so the bulk inning guy who would normally start still gets to do all of his starting routines. He just has to start his bullpen a little bit later. That's why I think the opener is just a fantastic idea.
Right. Yeah. And the other thing is it can force the other manager to change their lineup a little bit. Like if you start a lefty, and they have 3 lefties start at the top of the lineup, that's not ideal for them. So yeah, it can affect matchups too, and who they want to start and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Hope you get out if you could work it out and go, not necessarily for Dodgers Daily just to see Blake Snell, but it's going to be early. I don't know how long he's going to last and that kind of thing. So, hey, what we're going to do is we're going to get to our Down the Farm segment. Mark, I'm going to get your final thoughts on the Los Angeles Dodgers. We have a lot to cover down the farm. Now, keep in mind, don't go away because we are still going to talk about the Dodgers as we do this. This is live. And so as we talk in the chat, if there's something you want to talk about, we will switch back and forth between our prospect talk and our LA Dodgers talk and cover any topic you want. So we want this to be chat driven from the wonderful lobby we have here. So keep talking about the Dodgers or whatever you want to talk about. But we're going to get into our Down on the Farm segment now, and I'm going to flip it over to a young man I know you've gotten to see personally play. You are very high on him. This is Eduardo Quintero. What a player.
Yeah, you mentioned it on one of your posts, but you said, what else can Eduardo Quintero do? I mean, he showed off a great arm there, which I hadn't really seen much of before. So it's good to see that he has that in him. But yeah, obviously he's been phenomenal at the plate, and he looks like he's going to be a star the way he's playing right now. But yeah, to see him show that arm is great.
It absolutely is. And he leads the California League in home runs with 14. He's third in the California League in stolen bases. I believe that is 34 stolen bases. So very exciting young player in obviously Eduardo Quintero. Another young guy, and these are going to be guys you might not ever heard of. So sit down and kind of get comfortable if I can get his video up on the board. Let me scroll back down. I think it's my videos from yesterday. But it's Dylan Figueiredo, I think, is the next guy you wanted to talk about. So I'm going to scroll down to him, and I am going to get his video up on the board. And as I do that, go ahead and talk about Dylan Figueiredo.
Yeah, I mean, he's another guy that, wasn't really on the radar, so to speak, coming into the season, but he's pitching really well for the Quakes, and he had another solid outing the other night. His ERA is down to 1.2, so he's pitching very well for him.
He absolutely is. And the other night, by the way, Dylan Figueiredo, 4 scoreless innings in a row. So 2 innings pitched the other night, 1 hit, no runs, 1 strikeout, and 2 walks. So another just right-handed arm, really young guy that the Dodgers brass is working with down there. Ramon Troncoso, Brandon Bailey, 2 guys that have major league experience. Super excited about a lot of these young arms. And then another very exciting young arm the Dodgers drafted out of high school, still 19 years old, is Justin Chambers. And Justin Chambers made his affiliated debut just Tuesday night, and he also got his first win.
Right. Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, didn't you say he came over in a trade for Brian Hudson?
He did. He did.
Yeah.
The Dodgers got him and another draft pick.
Right. Yeah. So, he's looking good too. He made his, obviously, as you said, the debut with the Quakes. So just starting out, but he looks like he has really good stuff. And the Dodgers have been able to find some guys like this in trades already. We've talked about Sirota and Christian Sassueda, the guys that they've traded who were really young and hadn't really made much of a debut yet. And he's another guy who's could fall into that path. So
watch this, Mark. What I want to back up. Watch this right turn of that slider. Wow. Look at that. That is sharp, isn't it? So there's your right turn. Very next pitch. Watch this. left turn. I mean,
wow, nice.
Jam sandwich. I mean, that's tough right there. He's only about 90, 93. Of course, he's only 19. Look at that slider again. See how he made that. So let me show you this sequence. Big slider right here. Watch this big right turn, okay? Swing and miss. So he's going to back that up by the ball turning left, in on the hands. And so now, watch this. He's going to make his slider a little bit smaller because the count's 2-2. He doesn't want to go full. Make it a little bit smaller, and he gets weak contact. Right. So he had 2 weak contact pitches, 1 swing and miss pitch, and they're all based on the count. That's very impressive for a 19-year-old.
Absolutely, yeah. He's exciting to watch. I mean, obviously he's just had 1 outing with him, but as you said, his stuff looks really good. So hoping for good things out of him.
Hey, by the way, we have a comment from Chuck that you have been a wonderful addition to Dodgers Daily, and I totally agree with that. I believe you're going to try to go Friday to Rancho if it all works out and catch some action out there. Is that right, Mark?
Yes, right. And thanks, Chuck. I appreciate that. I'm enjoying it. As I've told you many times, I love talking Dodger baseball. So, yeah, it's been fun for me. And, yeah, I'm hoping to get out there on Friday. I've already reached out to Mike, the broadcaster, Mike Linskog, and hopefully trying to set that up for Friday.
Yeah, so we actually have a comment. I'm going to this is Carson Hobbs you're seeing here. We'll get into him in just a minute. Let me get to James Outman, though, and let me get to his last post that I actually posted on him about, so you can see if I can actually read it here. James Outman, when he was with Oklahoma City, this is going to be a little bit clunky, so I'm looking through to see if I actually have it listed as far as what the outing, what actually the date was, and I don't see it here. So I'm just going to flip it back, and we're going to go back on this. We have a conversation about the challenge system. Let's see if I actually have a folder for the challenge system too. I'm sorry, I apologize for the clunkiness here, but I want you to see it for your own eyes, so you can. Right here. Right here. Let's do this right here. So here is a successful challenge right here. So what has to happen is, see, that's a call to strike. That's Michael Grove pitching. It can't come from the bench. It has to come from either the pitcher, the catcher, or the hitter, and it has to be immediate. So then as soon as they tap their head, this goes up on the big screen, and then, so like the home plate umpire says, whoever's challenging it is challenging it, then it goes up on the big screen. You see this right here on the big screen. Then the umpire comes on and tells you whether the pitch call was see that tap there, whether it was upheld or whether it was overturned. You didn't see any of that. I'm sorry. Let me back that up, guys. I apologize for that.
I couldn't see it on my screen. I thought they were seeing it.
Yeah, no, they weren't. So here's a challenge right there. I apologize. Sometimes I do that. I got a lot of moving parts going on here. So there's the challenge, and it's either upheld or it's overturned. They're going to use this in the All-Star game. I don't know why it's not being
in the
used.
All-Star game. Okay,
yes.
I didn't know that. All right.
Which is awesome because it needs to be being used yesterday. There's no, and I was communicating with Alex Friedman, the AAA play-by-play voice, about this. He thinks in the major leagues right now there's 2 challenges in AAA. He thinks that because everything's supposed to be better. Here's another challenge here that you can see for yourself. He thinks because everything should be better at the major league level. He thinks there should be 3 challenges in AAA, 2 challenges at the major league level, and I think we both agree it should have been implemented yesterday. It absolutely works. The challenge system is awesome. There is nothing that's not awesome about the challenge system. Not only does it go fast, it doesn't add time to your game. It actually adds a lot of excitement because when that thing goes up on the board and you're trying to figure out whether the umpire is going to be right or wrong or whether the hitter or the pitcher or the catcher, that's exciting, man. So I'm all for the challenge system.
Yeah, I'm old school in a lot of ways, but I'm definitely wanting this. And I've had some discussions with some friends of mine who are old school also and don't want it, but I think it's a great thing. I mean, why not get the call right? They said the same thing about the instant replay, on calls on the bases and such when that came out. Some people were against it, but I mean, when it comes down to it, if you get to Game 7 of the World Series and and there's a bad call like that, or who was that pitcher that was throwing a perfect game and the umpire ruined it for him, you know? So if they had instant replay, he would have got his perfect game. But situations like that, I mean, if you have the technology to get it right, and it's, as you said, not gonna delay the game further, then why not do it? I mean, it makes a ton of sense to me. Yeah,
Cole's saying that teams need more than 2, and here's why they don't. I said 3 to Alex. Alex said 2. I'd be okay with 3. I've seen both AAA have 3 and AAA have 2. So last year AAA teams, when they used it, they all had 3 challenges. This year they have 2. But here's the kicker: if you win your challenge, like if you're the catcher and the umpire calls a ball and you think it's a strike and you challenge it and you're right as the catcher or the player, you don't lose that challenge. Right. So if you're right on your challenge, you can challenge pitches. You could challenge every single pitch that you don't agree with, and you keep doing it as long as you're right. But you can only be wrong twice. So what the 2 does is it makes it to where they're not just challenging every pitch. Like if it's in the second inning and it's not a pitch that's like a high leverage type pitch, we're not going to slow the game down and waste time of fans in the stands to slow down a pitch that doesn't matter in the second inning. Right. So hitters and pitchers and catchers know when they challenge they better be right, or it better be a situation to where it's a pitch that's important enough to challenge in case they are wrong. It's worth losing their challenge on. So I would definitely push back on needing more than 3. I would say, like Alex Friedman would say, I think 2 is probably the sweet spot at the major league level, because again, if you win your challenge, you get to keep doing it. You get to keep your challenge.
Exactly, and it seemed like Will Smith was pretty good at that in spring training. Not challenging it when he shouldn't. So I think he was pretty successful in his challenges as a catcher. And then obviously with hitters, you have to be careful about who's using it when. I think you want to save one for the 9th inning in most situations. So, but yeah, I mean, I would lean towards 3, not having seen the system in use that much, but I mean, 2 could work. I would possibly. Too. Yeah.
I lean towards 3. Alex leaned towards 2. He would know better than any of us, so I default to him. And his reasoning is the umpires are supposed to be better at that level, so they don't need that one extra one. So let's get back to some of our talk down the farm again. We're going to flip back and forth between our topics and our down the farm segment. This is Carson Hobbs. He's awesome.
Yeah, he's has very explosive stuff. I mean, he hits triple digits with some of his pitches. Very explosive fastball and slider, and he's been dominating at Great Lakes. So I mean, I could definitely see him moving up to Tulsa by the end of the year. I would think that he will, but we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, Carson Hobbs has been just absolutely simply fantastic this year. He's been maybe the best pitcher in the minor leagues. Let me actually, I don't think I flipped that. Oh, yeah, I did. So we have a Giants fan, I think, in the chat, and hey, I love that. I love the back and forth. I love smack talk, as long as it is respectful. Okay. Yeah. The Giants and Dodgers, very heated series. So as long as you come in respect and you respect the Dodgers, we respect the Giants. Manny thinks that the Dodgers are going to have a 9-game losing streak when they leave San Francisco, because they're not hitting the ball right now. So I understand where he's coming from. We'll see, though. I mean, what happened the last time these two teams played?
Right, yeah. I mean,
and again, baseball can change on a dime. Manuel, here's what I would ask, okay, because we're going to be respectful here in this Dodgers-Giants smack talk here. If that doesn't happen, and especially if the Dodgers sweep the Giants or the Dodgers win the series, Manuel, come back to our next live the week after and eat your crow. Okay? Either way, come back either way, because we love the conversation. If you're right and the Giants sweep, come back and gloat in your glory. If not, come back and eat your crow. That would be my request.
Yeah, exactly. They're talking about Robert's sucking, so to speak.
Who said
that? Somebody said, Vin said Robert sucks of fact. So did Manny say that earlier?
He must have. If he did, we're not going to allow that. I don't know where that comment is at.
Yeah.
We're absolutely not going to allow that type of deal, but I do like the smack talk.
He's the winningest manager in history percentage-wise, so that's kind of a ridiculous statement, but anyway. Yeah. Giants fan.
So we'll see how long. Hey, we got Jay in the house. So let's get to have you studied Hyunsuk Jang yet at all?
Not a lot yet. No, I haven't really gotten into him yet, but he's another obviously exciting addition to the Dodgers organization. So yeah, we'll see what he's able to do.
Yeah, he's been injured. That's been his problem. Big dude. He's had some inconsistencies in terms of he's turned in some really nice performances, and then he's also turned in some performances. You're looking at him right now. This is a very, very talented. I mean, you're talking about a blistering fastball for Hyunsuk Jang, and a young man that, matter of fact, right now he's still on the 7. He was on the development list. That typically happens whenever they need to go back and work on something in a non-results type of setting. Like, you don't want the pitcher to, like, if you're going to add a new pitch or if you're going to change the grip or if somebody's struggling with something. So he's been on the development list since the beginning of June. Then he got back in July. Now he's on the 7-day injured list. But this is a young guy in Hyunsuk Jang, that is super talented, but is just trying to figure out, what the actual mix is. He's trying to figure out. I'm trying to get to some of my posts on him, trying to figure out exactly the types of pitches that he wants to throw, how to throw them the best to create the most amount of consistency, and that kind of thing. So it has been a little bit slower than I think. He's 6'4", as a matter of fact. When he locates his fastball very well, and very, very talented. So he has a huge, huge, huge curveball. It's just been a matter of being consistent with it. It's been a matter of really kind of just figuring out the arm slot, figuring out the grip. I don't know that for a fact, but typically speaking, when you're struggling with these things and you have to go on the development list, that's why the reasons why. But trust me, he can drop bombs with his breaking ball, especially against curveball.
Yeah,
his fastball is big.
Yeah, I saw him in the dugout when I was, covering the Quakes, and he's a big kid, but he looks like he has really good stuff and really good, as you said, a curveball, and I like how he changes the level on his fastball. Really kind of comes downhill at the hitter, and he looks like he's impressive. He just get healthy and stay healthy and start developing. That'll be exciting.
Yeah, so a super exciting young prospect in Hyunsuk Jang. And so let's get to our next guy we want to talk about that you want to talk about here. Here's another exciting left-hander. We've talked about Justin Chambers early. Wyatt Crowell. Wyatt Crowell had a really nice outing last time for Great Lakes, a young man out of Florida State that has a lot of potential. So dive into Wyatt Crowell.
Yeah, he pitched, had another good, strong start for the Loons. 5 innings, gave up only 2 runs, and as you mentioned in your post, that was his longest outing of the year. So yet another talented lefty. I mentioned a lot of the lefties in the system earlier. I mean, it seems like they have more than usual that are highly rated prospects, and he's really kind of making a name for himself, I think, this year.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, really, really nice young player. Again, gonna say again, enjoy the back and forth. Manuel, you're absolutely wrong. Dave Roberts is the Hall of Fame manager. So the conversation about Dave Roberts, especially from your perspective, it's over. If you mention anything else about Dave Roberts, you will be hidden from this channel, not to come back. I'd love to keep you. Again, I'd love for you to come back if the Dodgers do beat the Giants this weekend after you said the Giants are going to sweep. That's fine. But 100%, I am not going to listen to your opinion on Dave Roberts, who is going to be a Hall of Fame manager, who has won 2 World Series since 2020, won last year's World Series, and, by the way, has kicked your Giants' ass for a long time now. So the last person I'm going to listen to about Dave Roberts is you. So that's the last comment you're going to make about him. It's totally null and void. It's absolutely not true whatsoever. And to be honest with you, as a Giants fan that I'm allowing you to be in this conversation with because I enjoy the back and forth, it makes you look like a complete dumbass. So we're going to move on from that, Manuel. And so there you go. If you want to be in this chat, then great. We love it. Love the great back and forth banner. But that's how these things are going to go. Got it? So there we go. All right, let's move on to our next prospect. And that is a young man that is massively talented. Broke his hamate bone and just is hitting bombs right now for Great Lakes. Cameron Decker, I know you're super impressed with him.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously he has a ton of power, and he's shown the ability to use the whole field in his hitting. So he's definitely looked impressive. You can see from his build, he's kind of a thick guy, so he's got some good power potential there.
Yeah, 100%. Young man who is just grew up actually playing shortstop, so he's a great athlete, and so just a really nice young prospect. Just needs to stay healthy and continue to stack outings and keep posting every day and just keep getting better from that perspective. And the last guy we talk about before we get down into our talk about the Complex League, which I will have no video on, so we'll just have to do that talking back and forth. But the last guy we're going to talk about is Noah Miller. Noah Miller is hitting the crap out of the ball, which is a great thing to see because we know how great his defense is.
Yeah, we talked about it on the last podcast. He's a whiz defensively. So if the Dodgers can unlock some hitting ability, which the Twins weren't able to do with him so much, but the Dodgers have him on a good trajectory right now with the way he's been hitting this year, and he had his first home run for the Comets. So he has some pop. He's not going to be a big home run hitter, but if they can get him to at least be a consistent hitter with his defensive ability, he could be a big addition for them.
100%. So let me go ahead and flip this back, and we are going to talk about the Complex League. Mark, I'm going to send it over to you, and if I have video of somebody, I'll throw it up on the board, but take it away. Talk about the Complex League. I'm so excited to hear about these guys.
Yeah, I dug into them a lot this week, as we mentioned I would do, and next week I'll focus more on the Dominican Summer League. But yeah, there's some exciting prospects in the Arizona Complex League. Two of the top 30 Dodger prospects, if you follow that, their top 30 list, it's very not always all that accurate, I guess you could say, in terms of long-term how it goes. But they have two guys that are considered top 30 prospects, Chase Harlan and Chin-Sin Ko. Ko is an outfielder who's leading the ACL in OPS at 1.012. So he's hitting very well. He's tied for the lead in doubles. He has 15. He's leading the league in on base percentage at 479. So he's getting on base almost 50% of the time, which is really impressive. Harlan, he's another highly touted prospect. He was drafted in the third round in 2024. He was slowed because he had to have hip surgery after he got drafted, but he's playing really well. His 12th overall in the league at OPS at 911. He's known for his quick bat. He has some plus power. Looks like he's developing some good defensive skills, so they're hoping he can stick at third base. His power hasn't fully developed yet, but he is making strides there.
100%.
Yeah. I don't know if we want to just keep going on, or you want to comment on those two guys?
Yeah, no, I'm listening to you, learning.
All right. Yeah, and possibly their highest rated prospect, Emil Morales, a shortstop. He's very highly ranked. He signed for almost $2 million last year as an international free agent. And he lived up to his billing. He was the MVP and top prospect of the Dominican Summer League last year. And he's 14th in OPS in the ACL thus far this year. I went back and kind of compared him to what Eduardo Quintero did last year, because he had a great year last year in the ACL. And so for comparison's sake, his OPS this year is 904. Quintero, his OPS last year was 908.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so they're very comparable.
Nice.
Morales' slugging percentage is slightly higher than Quintero's, but Quintero, Quintero's
so he's graded out better as far as statistically than Quintero did, huh? For the most part.
Well, he's actually been more successful, in extra base hits, but Quintero's on base percentage was a little bit higher. But Morales plays shortstop, obviously, which is a much more demanding position. So the Dodgers have some really good shortstops in their position, in their organization, and he's right there with them.
Yeah.
So
100%.
very exciting. And speaking of shortstops, another one, Kellen Lindsey. He spent a little bit of time in the ACL this year. He's up at Rancho now, but he's been fighting some injuries this year. He was obviously the Dodgers' top draft choice last year, and he has blazing speed.
He's right here.
Yeah. He's drawn a lot of comparisons to Trey Turner. They have kind of
wow, yeah, cool.
Yeah, similar look and build. His power hasn't really developed yet, but he has shown some power. The bulk of his playing time has been at Rancho this year, and he's performed well there. But he's as I mentioned, he's had some injury issues, so hopefully he can overcome those and get a good streak going of games here.
Yeah. Yeah. So is there anybody else you want to cover down there?
On the pitching side, Marlon Nieves has been their best starter, and he's really coming on. He's the best starter this year. He's 5th overall in the league with a 3.32 ERA. He's still only 20 years old. He's struggled with his control a little bit the first couple of years in Dominican Summer League, but this year his command has improved. His whip is at 1.27, and strikeout
that needs
to walk.
To get better. It will, though.
Yeah, and his strikeout to walk ratio is 51 to 25 in 43.1 innings. So, 2.1 strikeout to walk ratio, which is pretty good.
That is.
So, yeah, so he's looking pretty good. But they're, the
What's
Dodgers
his mix? What Nieves? Marlon Nieves?
I was trying to find that, but it's tough to find on some of these guys who are on the lower levels, especially the international ones, because the domestic ones here, you get a good scouting report on them before the draft, but the international ones, it's really difficult to find information on that. So I was trying to find more info on that, and
is he the one that you sent where you said he had a 4-seam, a sinker, a cut fastball, and a slider and occasional changeup?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I did find one tidbit on him. He's let's see, he struck out. Yeah, he works with a 4-seam, sinking, cutting fastballs, mix in a mid-80s slider and occasional low 90s changeup. So that's kind of his pitch mix there. Right.
All right, man. That was a fantastic job there down on the farm with the complex. A lot of guys we covered. I don't see any more guys. Prospects that anybody wants to cover here. I don't see any more topics that anybody wants us to cover. So I think we're going to go ahead and do final thoughts here, Mark, on the Dodgers or anything that's on your mind anywhere in the system.
Yeah, I appreciate you all, everybody joining in, and it's great to get questions from everyone and get input. So, it makes it exciting. I like doing these live sessions here. But, the Dodgers, obviously, they have nowhere to go but up from here, it seems like. And so coming into a tough series with the Giants, and as I said, I think they just need the All-Star break to rest up, and hopefully they'll come back strong after that.
Okay, Mark, I want to thank everybody out there. I want to thank you for tuning in. Good luck on hopefully you hear back from Mike Lindskog, and good luck Friday evening and getting some good interviews, some great video. Hope you have fun there. So thank you for joining. Great job.
Thanks, Casey. Great joining you as always.
Hey, I want to thank all you Dodgers dogs out there. It was a wonderful crowd today. We're going to try to do this, every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday for the summertime, right at 9 o'clock Pacific or close to it, based on how late I went to bed the night before or whatever it may be. We're going to try to get those 3 live shows, plus that gives you the live show Monday night with Austin, our live show with me and Austin, both on Wednesday, and then the live show on Sunday with Coach Barikoff. So that gives you 6 live shows a week, and then occasionally we do one on Saturday to get some more interaction with you wonderful Dodgers dogs out there, who is the best crowd in the world, no doubt about that. So until next time, which will be, what is today? Thursday, which will be tomorrow morning, with Coach Holt, hopefully for a live show. Thank you all for tuning in, and one last reminder, as always, it's a great day to be a Dodger.